Welcome to the Shooting Show, brought to you from Future Publishing's offices at Leamington Spa. This week, I'm out after a troublesome roebuck, plus I show you how to boil out those trophy heads. And we bring you all the latest news from the shooting world. There's no rest for the wicked. Just days after my last stalking outing with the shooting show, I'm back out after another buck with camera crew in tow. Everything starts according to plan, with an initial recce from the Polaris producing results in record time.
I've spotted him a long way. I was driving actually where two roads meet on the estate and spied across 350 metres or so. I wasn't sure if it was a buck or a doe, but he was in the right area. I had to stalk in and just hope it was a buck.
The stalk continues on foot, but it won't be that way for long. There's a tall stack of bales in the area, and I've got a plan to use them as a makeshift high seat. From this lofty position, I soon get a good view of a distant buck. Peering through the EL range binos, I wait for him to approach, but he never does. Heading off in the opposite direction, the buck leaves me with just a short-eared owl and several hares for company. After an hour's vigil, it's time to bail out, back to plan A, then the classic foot stalk. As always, it's a pleasure to be out, glassing the ground with plenty of wildlife in attendance. We're clearly in the right place and bump one buck as we come over a rise, but I'll let this one go as it's not the one I'm after. There's a specific buck I'm targeting that's been causing obvious damage in the plantation.
This is clear fraying damage, roebuck fraying damage. Clearly the tree's not going to do too well after that. One can understand why Shep the farmer is a little bit disheartened with the roebuck population. The only issue with this buck marking is you really do need to know the deer on the ground, because a big mature buck, he's stamped his territory out. If you take him out, you'll often get a lot more damage in areas such as this, because two or three younger bucks vying for his place will come and start marking aggressively, so they may do more damage than what the big boy was doing on his own. So it really is a case of knowing your deer and making that considered choice of what to shoot and what not to shoot, and balancing the farmer's expectations.
Sticking to the hedge lines and rides, I can cover the ground quickly. It helps that I know what I'm looking for. I got a good sight of the offending buck 2 days ago when putting up a high seat. Now more suitably armed, I'm hopeful of catching up with him again, and after passing up a couple more of his brethren, I'm finally in luck.
Just round this corner there's a rough part of, it's just rough grass and bramble on a little bit of a hillside in between where the sort of corner of the woodland next together. I think the animal that's there, I've seen it from the road, is our buck. I'm not quite sure, because it's 350 metres away. I couldn't see his backside and I couldn't see his head because he was in the hedge feeding. So, all things equal, we might just have a bit of luck.
We can't afford to make a mistake and lose this opportunity, so the approach is painstakingly slow, but it turns out to be worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely our buck. Is it here? It's just tucked into this hawthorn, but it's definitely a buck.
For the camera, the buck is partially obscured by a sycamore, but for me, a few yards away, it's in clear view. The shot is safe, it's a big chance, and I can't waste any time in taking it. The shot is good, and I make ready for an insurance shot just to be sure, but it won't be necessary. A few seconds later the buck is down where it stood. Making the short approach, I can doubly confirm that this is the right buck. Doing it by the buck, it's time to confirm death and inspect the carcass.
Yeah, we got around the corner and stalked into him, saw it was a buck straight away, but he kind of clocked us. He went into the hawthorn, came back out again and just stopped. He was going to break, definitely burst into flight. And I just had that half a second opportunity. It's safe shot, nice rising bank behind, bump, down he went. It's been a difficult buck to get. He's been creating quite a lot of damage in the young trees there. We caught up with him a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, I didn't have the rifle with me, and yeah, the cheeky old boy, or young boy even, came right up to the pickup. And we got it on camera, but we were just erecting a high seat and wasn't actually out stalking. Young guy, so there's not the problems that I discussed earlier about an old boy taking him out and then the young buck comes in, or young bucks come in and start marking everywhere. This has been a young guy. He's taken over a small territory. He's been doing the damage, and I'm absolutely certain we've shot the right one in this situation.
A swift gralloch follows to bring this successful stalk to a close. Grallocking the beast also gives some good evidence of the bullet's performance.
And that's the heart from this little roebuck. Gecko, 76 grain.
It's a happy result for the farmer and a textbook stalk complete. But I'm not done yet. I'll be boiling out this and another head ready to go on the wall.
Okay, so you've shot your roebuck trophy, so you've got to clean the head out. I'd like to show you my uber quick way of doing just that.
To start with, cut the head from the carcass as soon as possible to avoid blood congealing in the head and staining the skull bone. Soak the head in cold water for 2 or 3 days, longer if you can stand the smell. This draws the blood out and swells the flesh and skin, making it easier to lift off during the boiling process. Place your heads in the boiler, bring to the boil and simmer for roughly 20 minutes, depending on the source of heat. Dunk the boiled heads in cold water, don't cool them too much, just enough so you can handle them. Now we need to remove the bulk of the head before power washing. Cut off the ears, score along the jawline and through the eye sockets. Cross-cut across the forehead and around the base of the coronets. In general, you want to cut off as much flesh and skin as possible. Some cut skin and head before boiling, but this is my way and it works for me. Force down the jaw and remove the jawbone in one movement. Assess the jaws for age and wear and discard the tongue. Now you're ready to power wash. You need to take care, especially when blasting out the brain, as most of it will end up on you if you're not careful.
It certainly isn't for the faint-hearted, and you need to be dressed for the occasion, and you soon learn how to keep your mouth shut.
The final stage is to scrape any gristle or stubborn flesh off with a knife. Now you should be done, but you may have removed the nasal bones when power washing. If that happens, retain and keep for later, as they can easily be glued back in place with super glue. Apply a coat of cream peroxide, available from any hairdresser, and leave to dry in a safe, dry place, preferably in a sunny window out of the reach of kids and pets. That's one troublesome buck, better off in the larder there. And now, it's the Shooting Show News.
This is the Shooting Show News. The UK has voted to leave the EU, and that'll mean changes to the legal and political framework around shooting. BASC says there will be a significant job of work reviewing many of the systems and regulations that affect shooting, such as game meat hygiene laws. But the association said it would work hard to make sure any new laws are proportionate, accountable and consistent. It said it will keep working with VACE, the European umbrella group for hunters, and will work closely with whoever replaces David Cameron as Prime Minister. And the CLA has written to the Environment Secretary to urge her back to the rural economy in the aftermath of the Brexit. It's asked Liz Truss to establish a world-leading agricultural policy for the UK, making sure land managers don't suffer as a result of withdrawal from the Common Agricultural Policy. Figures indicate that rural areas voted in greater numbers than the national average, with 58% of countryside dwellers voting to leave. Anthony Matarese Jr. conquered the World English Sporting Championships at E.J. Churchill Shooting Ground. His 2 scores of 95 ran rampant ahead of the talented field of shooters, and the American finished 3 targets ahead of Sean Ponting. And he finished joint second in the 30-bird shoot-off to remain 3 targets ahead of his nearest rival, who was now Martin Myers. Cheryl Hall won her 4th World English Sporting Championship ladies title. The last international shooting championship before the Olympics is underway. The ISSF World Cup in Baku, Azerbaijan is taking place now and concludes on Wednesday. Already we've had 1 Brit in a finals shoot. Kirsty Barr made it to the semi-finals of the women's trap event. There'll be a full report in the August edition of Clay Shooting. And finally, gamekeepers are in greater demand than ever, according to Scotland's leading rural colleges. Those who run gamekeeping and wildlife management courses say they're getting strong demand from sporting estates, grouse in particular, for recently qualified gamekeepers and modern apprenticeships. One lecturer described the modern gamekeeper as a highly trained professional possessing an accomplished skill set combining theory with hands-on experience. Read all about gamekeeping in iShoot magazine. That was the Shooting Show news.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you're not a member of BASC, it's time to join now. BASC, looking after your sport, looking after you. This has been The Shooting Show.